Long ago, in the far-off year of 2001, a baby was born from a peach that fell from the sky. This boy grew up to be the leader of a team who were destined to fight the Juto. Welcome to the story of Tokusatsu, where I give you a straight recap and review of a show. Just passion to tell a story, going beyond that in the second half of this video. Full spoilers ahead. We start in the modern day, where a young lady, Haruka Kito, is awarded for a manga she made called First Love Hero. On her way home, she comes across a monster but is saved by a man in blue. This strange circumstance is only the beginning, as the next day, yellow sunglasses appear in front of her, allowing Haruka to see the world in a new way. Monsters have been around her the entire time, but she's been able to fight with the help of a Dawn Blaster, also appearing in front of her out of nowhere. Ever since she transformed, Haruka has been filled with bad luck. The unluckiest circumstance was being labeled a plagiarist for her manga, a real manga called Real First Love Hero by Naoki Shina. To get some answers, the special sunglasses transport her to a prison, holding a man named Jin. He tells her that she's been chosen to become a warrior and must now look for someone who goes by Momoi Taro to pledge loyalty to him. Right on cue, a monster attacks the city and the man in blue arrives. Haruka thinks this hero must be Momoi Taro, so she pledges loyalty to him. It's not him. To make it worse, the man is a villain named Sonoi. Then more warriors arrive, a pheasant and a very bombastic Red Ranger. Haruka knows it's going to be tough to find this Momoi Taro. Our following episodes have a lot of exposition drops to set up the core of this show, so excuse a bit of back and forth here. Haruka takes up a job at Cafe Donbura, which has a cool owner named Kaito. While the story has focused on Haruka for a while, we do get glimpses of the others, such as this delivery man who loves to say he's formed bonds with people he barely knows. He's perfect in every way, to a fault since he even fixes apartments if he sees anything wrong. During one delivery, he sees another man in an arm sling and fixes it. LOL. The reason the other man was in a sling was because he had tons of misfortunes after becoming one of the colorful warriors, the pink CG one. This is Tsuyoshi Kichino, our Pink Ranger Kiji brother. Despite his hardships, he's just happy to be with his wife, Miho, and even transforms to make her life safer. Our next character, appears in Cafe Donbura when he says he can't pay for his coffee since the concept of money disgusts him. Instead, he offers to barter with a haiku. Haruka doesn't accept this, but Kaito does. The haiku man is Shinichi Saruhara, our Blue Ranger Saru brother. Saruhara is very laid back and has never had a job in his life. I probably won't be bringing him up much, but he's great even if he doesn't get a lot of focus. Another monster attacks a city in episode 3, and Sonoi shows up to fight, but so does his second man. This also is in Momoi Taro. The man is Sonoza, who can transform like Sonoi. As if that wasn't enough, we're introduced to the fifth warrior, Inu brother. More on him later. Also in episode 3, the delivery man delivers a package to Haruka, recognizing her from a previous run-in, saying they formed a bond. The man also says he tries to deliver happiness, which is why he tries to fix things himself. Haruka is interested in his strange ways and travels with him to search for Momoi Taro. One thing leads to another as they both chase after a monster, so the delivery man pulls out a Dawn Blaster to transform into the Red Warrior, Dawn Momotaro. Of course, we gotta add to the chaos, so a third of Sonoi's group appears. She's named Sonomi. After the battle, Haruka is relieved that she's finally found Momoi Taro, so she kneels to pledge loyalty to him. Same. Haruka, naturally, is fed up and goes to Jin for answers. As mentioned earlier, Taro is perfect to a fault. Even as a kid, he tried to fix things, he couldn't lie, and people eventually got fed up. Taro, being naive, thought the angry mob outside their house was having a festival. People later left, causing Taro and Jin to only have each other. Okay, so we've met Haruka, Saruhara, Kijino, and Taro. Let's get to our last warrior, who is currently on the run from the police. That's certainly different. Our starting ranger is a wanted criminal. This is Tsubasa Inuzuka, Inu brother. His introduction is probably the best one, as he crosses paths with Haruka, kidnaps her, which she agrees to so she can become a better manga writer, then Kijino needs to use the restroom so he happens to come across the place where all this is happening. The police get involved, Sadahara tries to calm the situation, and Momoitaro shows up since this place was his job the whole time. And those are just the bullet points, everything in between is even crazier. With all our warriors known, they go by Avataro Sentai DONBROTHERS, and their duty is to protect people from the Hitotsuki and the foot soldiers called Anoni. Well, we know them, but for a long time, only Haruka, Sadohara, and Momoi know that they're each part of the team. The rest do come across each other and consider themselves friends, or at least acquaintances, but the team don't become aware they're rangers until near the end. Oh, and I'm forgetting the other warrior, a special warrior that you might already know. The Noto trio consists of Sonoi, Sononi, and Sonoza. Their main deal is that they need human, emotions to exist so they can create and kill off Hitotsuki. The DONBROTHERS are here to stop the Hitotsuki and Noto from hurting more people. That's the basic premise of DONBROTHERS, with its overarching story coming in parts from the characters themselves, except from Sadohara. So that's how we'll continue from here, telling the story as we go along, rather than all being jumbled like I just did with the character introductions, but we'll also go over a few fun episodes. Outside of character introductions, we get to episode 8. Sononi comes across Inuzuka, so she asks him about love, to which Inuzuka says his heart belongs to someone named Natsumi. Then Kijino comes along to apologize for trying to get Inuzuka arrested in the previous episode. Yeah, despite Inuzuka being a wanted criminal, the rest of our cast are friends with him now. Back to Kijino, their conversation becomes something more friendly as they talk about their loved ones, so Kijino invites Inuzuka over to try Miho's cooking. Unfortunately, Inuzuka doesn't get to meet her because a Hitotsuki calls and they have to do their duties, even if each other don't know it. Meanwhile, Taro and Sonoi are increasing tensions, as they are starting to understand each other, and even agree with certain ideals, but don't agree with the end goal. And even further, they don't know that each are the Noto and DONBROTHERS. In episode 9, Taro starts to feel weak, to which Jin explains that this happens due to his overuse of superpowers, and the only way to make him feel better again is to feed him 300 pieces of kibidongo. Good thing Kaito just so happens to have the ingredients to make that many. Parallel to Taro, Sonoi isn't acting normal either, as he sees visions of monsters. Back to Taro in a fight, he starts to feel weak once again. Jin tries the kibidongo and says it wasn't good enough and has to be made the traditional way. Another fight quickly starts against the Hitotsuki, but Haruka and Sadohara need more time, so Kaito steps up to transform into Zenkaiser Black.
Change Zenkai.
Now I'm sure you have a lot of questions. Me too. Despite only eating 299 traditionally made kibidongo, Taro says he's naturally strong. Huh? So he pulls out a brand new power-up to become Robotaro. Huh? So by the end, Taro is okay, and Sonoi says that the Juto are coming. I know that was like out of nowhere, but that's DONBROTHERS. This was the first time I actually went in depth with an episode rather than skimming it, when I know I could have just summed that up as Taro gets a new power-up out of nowhere and Sonoi says a new threat is coming. But the reason why I didn't go with that summary is because... Hi, Keza. The rest of the team also get a Robotaro power-up in episode 10, so they can become Don Onitaijin in episode 12. I just really like this mech, and I'm only bringing it up because they've been using a Zenkaiger mech before this, and again, Don Onitaijin might just be one of my favorite Sentai mechs ever. Moving on. In episode 11, the Noto trio visit Jin. Sonoi explains that Jin was made to be a guardian as punishment for his crime of raising Momoitaro. They're here for Jin to warn them about the Juto, who can be found by searching for origami. Inuzuka gets a flashback of his time with his lover, Natsumi. She's always wanted to be a beautician, and this is how they met. To the viewer, Natsumi sure does look familiar, huh? Episode 11 also introduces us to Minoru, a wannabe ninja. I'm never going to bring him up again by name, but he becomes a Hitotsuki multiple times and it is hilarious. As I quickly mentioned earlier, Momoitaro isn't able to lie, and if he does, then he dies. It's played for laughs, though it's almost important for his character, in that his inability to lie can be seen as a good thing to some, but to others, it's actually a negative aspect. His hard truths can annoy and hurt people. More importantly, Taro talks about this to Sonoi, who was interested in this characteristic. As Sonoi says, the moon is the biggest liar of them all. It doesn't have its own light, only reflecting it from the sun, and yet, it's beautiful. Episode 15. The team sit down to get things straight. Taro, Haruka, Saruhara, Kijino, and Inuzaka are all friends, but they don't know that Inuzaka is a Dawn brother. Haruka even thinks that they could be an actual dog. Kaito is also a hero, but more importantly, they need to take down the Noto trio starting with their leader, Sonoi. Meanwhile, the trio are told that Don Momotaro should be their main target, as he is the heir to a royal family called the Dawn clan. The clan almost destroyed the world of the Noto, so the trio want to get rid of anyone that's part of that family. I hope you enjoyed that explanation, cause that's all you're getting. Taro and Sonoi come across each other again, each talking about how they have an enemy they need to defeat, not knowing that they're Don Momotaro and the Noto trio's leader. Taro suggests that they should have Oden sometime.
Oden とか
Sonoi would love to, mostly because he doesn't know what that is. A Hitotsu attacks, so Sonoi and Taro transform, then fight each other. They deal big attacks, causing them to de-transform, and now they know their real identities. They're the enemy each other needs to defeat. After defeating the Hitotsuki, Sonoi slashes through Taro. A flashback shows us that Sonoi asked Taro what his weakness is, which is that Taro is not as strong after becoming Don Onitaijin, so now Taro is gone. Kaito and Jin tell the Dawn brothers that a Noto defeating Taro means true death. However, there was a backup plan in case Taro would ever be killed, a substitute.
太郎に変わるもの
Long ago, in the far-off year of 2001, a baby was born from a peach that fell from the sky. An officer found that baby, who was destined to become a true hero, so that baby trained all his life until it was time to leave. Jiro says goodbye to his friends, although they're not all into the idea of him being a hero, and they're kinda happy to see him leave. Meanwhile, Sonoi fights a Juto, even though they can't be killed. If anything, he's feeling guilty over killing Momoi Taro, because he felt it was a cowardly tactic to ask for his weakness, since Taro couldn't lie. The rest of the Dawn brothers are also feeling guilty they couldn't save him. Saruhara assures them that the Noto are just that strong, and there was nothing they could do. A Hitotsuki attacks, the Dawn brothers and Noto trio fight, but a true hero arrives. Jiro, the fire dragon. He throws rocks. Jiro properly introduces himself as Taro's substitute. The rest of the team don't seem to care. The Hitotsuki, Noto, and Dawn brothers fight once again, but this time Momoi Taro arrives, but disappears as soon as the Hitotsuki is defeated. Elsewhere, Miho got into an accident, nearly getting ran over by Inuzaka, ending up in the hospital. Naturally, Kijino wants revenge, so an ominous aura falls over him. Episode 15. Kaito explains that the Dawn brothers used up all their points to bring back Taro only one time. It wasn't enough to keep him around permanently. Our heroes get points for doing heroic deeds, and that's all the explanation we get. Oh look, Kijino becomes a Hitotsuki, and Jiro is here too. He's not much help.
逃げられたか
Later, Saruhara and Haruka see Kijino become a Hitotsuki, so Jiro comes back and transforms into a true hero, Don Dragoku. At the cafe, Jiro gets a bit of an ego now that he can transform, and offers to execute them in order to make a new team. Sonoi gives the team a tip to rescue Taro. He says that once a Hitotsuki is defeated, they can get Taro back, so Jiro uses Kijino to rescue Taro. The two transform to defeat Kijino. Yay. And the team welcome him back. In the next episode, Jiro tries to find his place with the team, but they don't want him. What? Taro gives it to him straight, saying that Jiro has been a pest to the rest of the team and will never be his real substitute. This sparks something inside Jiro, bringing out an evil personality. And that's it for this episode. Later on, Sononi comes across the Inu brother, discovering he's Inuzaka. She asks again what love is, and Inuzaka says that love is light.
今のは恥ずかしくないのか
Inuzaka later explains his backstory. He was in a theater troupe with Natsumi. Their troupe was out resting in a cabin when she and others swallowed origami in their sleep. As it happens, it's known that you swallow at least one piece of origami every year in your sleep. Natsumi was taken away by the Juto as a result, and a deal was made with Inuzaka so he could get her back one day. Elsewhere in the Noto realm, a voice tells someone named Murasame to awaken. And that sword is awakened. But first, Jin tells the Don brothers of Taro's other weakness. When Taro was young, his only friend was a beetle named Gi, so the team tried to use that to surprise him for a strength contest. A long story, don't worry about it. During that, a purple sword arrives, housing Don Murasame. A voice in his head tells him to fight. Sonoi recognizes Murasame as a guardian like the Noto. And that's it? He rarely shows up, so at least he looks cool? Continuing Jiro's story in episode 20, his ex-girlfriend Rumi is interested in visiting him, so he asks the team if he can lead them to look cool in front of her. Taro thinks it would be interesting, so he temporarily leaves. Jiro wants to change their name to the Dragon Fire! As their leader, Jiro wants them to go public and become famous. Kaito warns them of getting carried away and having their noses grow like Pinocchio. And they do grow egotistical until Taro snaps them out of it. This causes Jiro's evil personality to take over, awakening Don Torabolt. And that's really all we get of Jiro for a long, long while. The team, as well as the story, kind of just brush him aside, not really caring about him. Oh, but what about Rumi? She decided not to visit after all because she got lazy. Kaito's here too. In episode 21, Sonoza kidnaps Haruka because he's a big fan of her manga and wants more. He basically becomes her chief editor. That's cute. And in episode 22, he kidnaps Naoki Shina, the alleged true writer of Haruka's plagiarized manga, so they can have a contest on who makes the better manga. And again, that was pretty much it. We've been seeing some strangeness coming from Miho, as she's revealed to be a Juto. That begs the question, does Natsume have amnesia and is pretending to be Miho? Is Miho just a made-up person that Kijino married? Luckily, this is one of the few things we actually do get answers to. Another time. More importantly, we get the introduction to Jiro's mecha, Don Toradora Taijin. I think it's cute that he has to chase after his other personality to combine, and the desert backdrop is gorgeous. What the heck is this show? And so, Avatar Sentai Dawn Brothers comes to a close in episode 26. What actually comes to an end is Taro and Sonoi's rivalry. While having a fun day at the swim park, Sonoi says that it's finally time to end things. Taro agrees, so Sonoi trains to defeat him with no tricks. Taro just keeps working like his life isn't on the line. On the day of the duel, Sonoi waits for his long-destined rival. Hours pass, and Taro doesn't show up because he's working and couldn't call out. Sonoi helps him deliver packages faster. At last, they begin their duel, until Jiro shows up to protect Taro, and then Murasame appears to protect Sonoi, and Minoru fights his long-destined rival, Momoi. Oh yeah, I did mention him by name again. Then the Juto reveals themselves to the Dawn Brothers for the first time. It's beyond chaotic, but their teammates understand. The Dawn Brothers and Noto fight the other enemies to give Taro and Sonoi alone time. Sonoi explains that the Noto need human brainwaves to survive. The Dawn clan wanted a better resource, so they created the Juto, but they were deemed a failure and were banished. Once the Hitotsuki is defeated, Taro and Sonoi start their battle. Sonoi is defeated. As the song in the background says, they cross paths, start to have a close connection, but where it goes, only the moon knows. Murasame brings Sonoi's body to the Noto Council, and Taro receives an invitation for Sonoi's funeral. Meanwhile, Murasame and Jiro share a moment together, Jiro sensing Murasame's pain, since Murasame is lost in this world and doesn't know what to do with himself, much like Jiro. The two understand each other, and that's as far as this goes. Back with Taro, he says he has one regret, in that he was never able to take Sonoi to eat Oden. He imagines what that would have been like. At the end, the council pour red liquid over Sonoi's corpse, reviving him. Episode 30. Taro gets stopped by a Juto, the one who looks like Miho. She confirms that the Juto were created by the Dawn clan and adds that the Juto haven't done anything wrong. They have a right to live. Though Juto copy people, and if that specific Juto dies, then the person they copied will die as well. After the battle, Kijino finds Miho's unconscious body, and in the distance, Inuzuka notices as revelation. That is Natsume, is Miho. In the next episode, the team are having fun at the cafe, Jiro included, but Taro mentions they're missing one member, Inu Brother. Jiro thinks Inu Brother is Inuzuka, but the rest don't believe him. During a fight, Taro invites Brother to the cafe to meet up, but shenanigans continue and the team start to think someone else is Brother. The musician that got mixed up in all this actually has an interesting secret. He thinks Miho was his ex. There's that Inui love triangle trope. At the end, it turns out that his ex-girlfriend looked nothing like Miho, and the team still don't know who Brother is. More importantly, in episode 32, the team spend a summer night together. When Sononi and Sonoza challenge Taro to a duel, they say it's not to avenge Sonoi, but it's their duty to defeat the Dawn clan. They even ask Murasame for help. It's the day of their duel, and the remaining two Noto await their challenger. Hours pass, and Taro doesn't show up because he's working and couldn't call out. Sononi and Sonoza help him deliver packages faster. At last, they begin their duel, until Jiro shows up to protect Taro, and then Minoru fights his next long-destined rival Oh, I guess I did mention him by name again. It's beyond chaotic, but their teammates understand. The Dawn brothers fight the other enemies to give Taro and the Noto alone time. Until... a bombastic blue hero arrives laughing it up. He transforms, now with a brand new chess piece. Taro and Sonoi fight, with Sonoi saying they're alike, like the sea and sky, always facing each other, but never meeting, and yet they're blue all the same. Oh, and Murasame summons Black Oni Taijin in case you wanted a brand new toy. Once the mecha is defeated, Taro and Sonoi start their battle. Taro is defeated. As a song in the background piano plays, they cross paths, start to have a close connection, but where it goes, only the moon knows. Jiro picks up Taro's body, leaving behind his iconic hat. The Dawn brothers are afraid that Taro has gone missing. Even his delivery workplace is surprised he left without saying a word. In the Noto realm, Sononi and Sonoza are surprised that Sonoi actually defeated Taro, but they're more surprised by Sonoi's personality change. Now he's a lot like Taro. Sonoi has the same laugh and tells his companions to swear fealty to him. Jiro takes Taro to the cafe, where Kaito says he can take care of them. The timing is incredibly off, as the Dawn brothers were asked to meet with the Noto during all this. After Sonoi orders some kibidango, he says he wants the Dawn brothers to become his companions. They have contests to see whether they join or not, and our heroes ultimately become Hitotsuki after falling for their deepest desires. Then Taro appears and snaps them back to reality. As Taro says, he will always come back like a phoenix. Well, Saruhara and Haruka are back to normal, while Kijino stays as a Hitotsuki for the second time. Taro uses his revived strength to call upon a Phoenix power-up to become Go Don Momotaro. Kijino is a bit down becoming Hitotsuki again, so he asks Miho, "Would you still love me even if I was a monster?" To which she says he would make a cute monster. Kijino gets happy again and invites Inuzaka over for dinner. While at dinner, Inuzaka starts to notice some similarities between Miho and Natsumi, such as the food he taught Natsumi how to make and some lines they used to repeat to each other. Inuzaka, in a way, gets jealous that someone like Kijino has a wife like Miho. Inuzaka leaves dinner, but following behind him is Miho, regaining her memories of Natsumi, and the two leave Kijino alone. Natsumi doesn't remember anything beyond getting taken away a long time ago, but it doesn't matter now. The two are reunited. Later, the Noto trio visit an oden cart where Taro and the rest are eating. The Noto don't know what human food is, but try it because Sonoi wanted to eat. This is the first time Sonoi eats oden and loves it, reverting back to his old self. Yay. More importantly, Kijino invites Inuzaka to lunch at a restaurant. At first it seems friendly, but turns chaotic as Kijino yells, wanting his wife back. But Inuzaka says she's always been Natsumi, and Miho isn't real. Kijino calls the police to arrest Inuzaka. At the cafe, Kijino has outbursts and says his team are basically a bunch of bums. Inuzaka gets interrogated by the police, who are after him for Natsumi's disappearance, but Inuzaka says she's alive and with him, so that gets him off the hook. That was easy. But in a surprise, the police want Inuzaka to gather some info about the Juto for them, because they suspect Natsumi to be one. At this point, you might be wondering where Jiro is. Anyway, Inuzaka is trying to get back to where he and Natsumi started, wanting to marry her. Sononi and Sonoi watch them, with Sononi saying Inuzaka is going to get hurt more than he knows. While Natsumi rests, Inuzaka takes a visit to Jin, wanting answers about the Juto. Jin explains that where they stand used to be a gateway for the Juto to visit the human world, so if the Juto are in the human world now, then they found a new gate. Back at his apartment, Inuzaka finds leftover origami where Natsumi was. He finds her absorbing an Anoni and fighting another Juto. Inuzaka goes into the Juto and ends up in a forest. He finds Natsumi's sleeping body, then gets copied by a Juto. The Juto Inuzaka starts antagonizing people. Meanwhile, Sononi gets a bit worried about Inuzaka and fights Natsumi, The fight escalates to include a Hitotsuki, and for the first time ever in the show, Taro tells his companions to declare themselves. It's so funny, they have their first roll call and this Inu brother is, well, not really Inu brother and he's gone feral. Anyway, the real Inuzaka arrives and defeats his copy. How did Inuzaka escape the forest? Good question. Episode 37 starts with Sonoza telling Haruka that she can become a better mangaka. Sononi is happy to see Inuzaka back, plus the Don brothers and Noto trio eat Oden together. Why is the Oden cart in a parking lot? A new person arrives, someone named Sonoshi. They've been sent to oversee the Noto trio's battles, as they've been starting to get close to the Don brothers. Sonoshi is their supervisor and tells the trio to announce themselves to the next time they fight. Sonoshi then makes themselves known to the rest of the Don brothers. LOL. The Don brothers transform and so does Sonoshi, showing off their cool red Noto armor. Back at the cafe, Sononi offers a truce to get rid of Sonoshi because they find them annoying. That brings us to the Don brothers fighting the Noto trio, who do a roll call. Poggers. The Don brothers do the same, with Jiro included out of nowhere. Okay, honestly, I keep forgetting Jiro is even in this show. Again, he just comes out of nowhere. And so, with the Noto and Don brothers' plan enacted, Sonoshi gets trapped in a Hitotsuki body and is almost defeated. Sonoi hesitated since Sonoshi is still a Noto like them. At the end, Kijino goes back home to Miho, a doll. Okay, this gets a resolution literally in the next episode, and it's not really important to mention, but the doll thing is so out there that I had to bring it up. Unless it does get brought up again in an important way, in which Keza will call me stinking the edit, I just forgot. Anyway, episode 39. Kaito is off from work, so the Don brothers clean the cafe, but Jiro finds a button and presses it because it's Jiro, and it summons Dawn Killer, looking a lot like Taro. So Dawn Killer goes on a rampage, breaking everyone's legs. And so to defeat it, the team summoned Dawn Killer Killer, where the Dawn Kill Killers fight until the end of time. Man, I love Dawn Brothers. Episode 40. Haruka tries to get a driver's license from the Time Ranger school, but she's unteachable and gets her instructors hurt. Same. Murasame, who I also forgot was in the show, attacks Inuzaka for being part of the Don brothers. Sononi finds Inuzaka at death's door and helps him run away from Murasame, though Inuzaka only sees her as Natsumi. Sononi goes with the lie, her emotions for Inuzaka growing stronger, seeing as how much he really cares for Natsumi. Sononi, pretending to be Natsumi, asks Inuzaka why he loves her. He says he doesn't have a reason. He doesn't need a reason, because he'll love her no matter what. Both Ajuto and Murasame catch up to the runaways, Sononi getting hurt protecting Inuzaka. Rain falls, and Inuzaka tells her to run, but Sononi says she'll keep protecting him. Inuzaka goes for a hug, then realizes this is Sononi. Naturally, he gets upset, but that quickly goes away when Murasame arrives, so he continues to run with her. Murasame stands in front of them, and then... Oh my gosh, what is this show? In the end, Inuzaka gains control of Murasame's sword. Sononi tells him that the real Natsumi can come back if the Juto Natsumi is defeated, and the Noto trio save Christmas. That's in the next episode, I just didn't want to talk about it. Episode 42. Inuzaka passes his prostate exam. Episode 43. Naoki Shina turns out to be Haruka from the future. I know that sounds like a big revelation, but it's actually not too important. Nothing's important in Dawn Brothers. Future Haruka and Saruhara are married too. Don't question it. No, wait, actually do question it. What the f- Continuing from Sononi and Inuzaka's love drama in episode 44, Jiro announces he's going home for a while, which Taro and Saruhara find weird. Well, they find Jiro generally weird, but now feels different. Jiro asks Taro to join them, which Taro surprisingly accepts, since he wants to thank the person who raised Jiro for being part of the Dawn clan. Jiro then shows Taro a picture of his ex-girlfriend on the phone, but Taro doesn't see her. Even Kijino thinks Jiro is being weird. Inuzaka eventually finds Juto Miho Natsumi and attacks her to try to get the real Natsumi back, while Sononi watches from afar. The Juto Miho is nearly killed, but Sononi gets in front of Inuzaka's attack. She apologizes for lying about being able to get Natsumi back, while Sononi is taken away by her Noto allies. Sononi was going to be punished for falling in love with a human, but Sonoi and Sonoza can't bring themselves to execute her, saying that they're starting to get human emotions as well. After Kijino tries to kill Inuzaka, cause, it's Kijino, a Hitotsuki appears so the Dawn brothers transform, including Inuzaka. Okay, this is like the funniest thing where for like 44 episodes, the rest of the team didn't know Inuzuka was Inu brother, and then he just casually joins Jiro for the team transformation. This is probably like one of my favorite moments in the entire show. I just love how out of nowhere and casual it is. Okay, anyway. After the battle, Inuzuka finds a dying Sononi outside. He asks Kaito for help by using his points to bring Sononi back to health. She awakens, but Inuzuka leaves her behind, telling her to stay away from him. Episode 45. The Dawn Brothers officially welcome Inuzuka to the team, except for Kijino, cause, it's Kijino. Oh, real quick, before Taro and Inuzuka go with Jiro to his home village, Taro finds Juto Natsumi and tells her to stop playing with Inuzuka and Kijino's emotions. Then she's like, do something about it then. And that's just awesome. Oh, also real quick, the Noto trio think to themselves about joining the Dawn Brothers so Sononi can be closer to Inuzuka, and Sonoza editing more of Haruka's manga, but Sonoi says they wouldn't be accepted after everything they did to people in the beginning. So the previously mentioned three go to Jiro's village, but it's nearly empty, all except for a policeman. He's a Juto who's been guarding the gate to the Juto forest. He also raised Jiro to take his place soon, as the person the Juto policeman copied is dying from old age. Kijino also becomes a Hitotsuki for the third time, lol, and he fights King Oger, giving him trauma that will be explained in about a year and a half. Back at the village, Inuzuka and Taro notice that Jiro is having dinner alone. Everyone Jiro knew growing up were merely fabrications of the Juto to give him a life. And that is just depressing, oh my gosh. Episode 46. A new Noto trio appears, led by Sonoshi. The other two are Sonogo and Sonoroku. What the previous trio were in the beginning is what this new trio is now, though now they're fighting both the Dawn Brothers and the old Noto trio. Taro wakes up in the Juto forest after swallowing origami in the previous episode. A Juto copies him, and Juto Natsumi snaps him out of it. What the fuck? In the village again, Jiro is told that all his old friends were an illusion, and he has a bit of a natural breakdown. So Taro and Inuzuka go back to the Juto forest, when Taro summons his phoenix. He goes helmetless and declares that the Juto existing is not a crime, but hurting people is, so they will be banished to this forest forever. Man, this is so cool. I friggin' love Dawn Brothers. Just this image alone, man. Ugh, I love it. As if Jiro's story wasn't sad enough, he asks his friends if they were illusions. They say no, but begin to slowly fade away. But for some happy endings, the real Natsumi wakes up in front of Inuzuka, while Juto Miho floats away, never to be seen again. In episode 47, we have Sonoi, Sononi, and Sonoza officially joining the Dawn Brothers, plus the reveal of who Kaito was all along. Kaito is a true hero. Yay. Episode 48. Inuzuka is still being hunted by the police, but Natsumi isn't liking this lifestyle, though Sononi does her best to help them escape. Natsumi tries to make sense of all this, though still isn't a fan of what's been happening around her. It doesn't help that she doesn't know anything about her life as Miho. Back to Jiro, he's having an episode realizing his life has been a lie, well, except for his other personality. Jiro starts to accept both sides of himself, and that's it. That's Jiro's the whole story arc. Yay? I should also mention that other than the Jiro stuff, this whole episode was about the Dawn Brothers making friends with Sonoi, Sononi, and Sonoza. It's really cute, but nothing I wanted to mention outside of that character stuff. Plus Taro and Sonoi looking at each other lovingly. Episode 49, Last Memories. The new 9 Dawn Brothers group up. They are so adorable. It's nearing the end. We see that Jiro is now a normal guy. And I mean, they legit say, oh, Jiro's normal now. And again, I think that's just like the funniest thing ever. They always thought he was weird, and he's like, oh, he's normal. Kijino wants to restart his life since Miho is gone. Inuzuka invites him for lunch to properly meet Natsumi, while Sononi is in the background. The police interrupt their lunch, and Inuzuka reaches out for Natsumi, but she only shakes her head. Inuzuka is chased, then Sononi helps him escape. Kijino prepares to leave, though Natsumi wants to talk to him. The two go to Kijino's apartment, which is being packed up due to him wanting to get rid of these old memories. Natsumi says she dreamt about being married to him. Minoru becomes a Hitotsuki again. Okay, I swear I thought I was never gonna mention him again, but here we are, just like Dawn Brothers. Speaking of which, the 9 Dawn Brothers have lunch with Sonoshi's gang. Weirdly enough, Taro doesn't remember who they are.
Who are you?
Minoru arrives and they all fight, while two strangers watch from a distance, Kamen Rider Kaiza and Yellow Racer. Minoru is defeated for the, third time, and he still has a couple more to go. And Taro visits the cafe for a surprise birthday party,
Happy birthday, Taro!
reminding him of his time with Jin.
Happy birthday to you.
Taro doesn't admit that he loves being with his team, and dies. Happy endings all around. The final episode. We have made true bonds. Haruka receives an award for a manga, Avataro Sentai Donbrothers, but she wishes a certain person was there to see her. A few months before that, Taro asks his team if they enjoyed being part of the Donbrothers. Meanwhile, the two cloaked figures from the previous episode are revealed to be Sonona and Sonoya, here to take over Sonoshi Goroku, getting rid of them permanently. Inuzuka says goodbye to Natsumi for the last time, though he doesn't feel too bad about it. Kijino is also feeling great about being a Donbrother, despite everything that's happened to him. The team wonder why Taro has been acting so weird. Kaito explains that Taro's memories are being reset. Jito is matured. Sorry, I had to take a pause there. The subtitles literally say Jito's matured. Oh, he's normal now. He's matured. God, what is this writing? And the Noto have basically been dealt with, so Taro will be able to live a normal life. He'll also get a cool white suit like Kaito. Don't worry about it. The Donbrothers eat with Taro one more time. Sonoi whispers to Taro who his friends are, but Taro even starts to forget Sonoi. A battle with Sonona and Sonoya begin, as the rest of the team arrives to take them on. Kaito has a parting gift from Haruka from Taro, the manga she made about the Donbrothers. It tells a story of all their adventures together. Taro arrives at the last moment, telling everyone to declare themselves, giving us the 10, or 11, Donbrothers roll call. Ending with Taro remembering Haruka's manga. Taro finishes off Sonona and Sonoya, but disappears. Months later, Sononi and Inuzuka are running away together. Natsumi asks Kijino if they like to try something as a couple. Saruhara continues reciting haikus, and Haruka accepts her reward for the Donbrothers manga. Back at home, Haruka hears a doorbell ring, and opening her door, she sees a delivery man in white, saying they formed a bond. Hey everybody, that does it for the summary portion, which was probably way longer than you were expecting. So next up would be the review portion. But I realized as I was writing the script for this, I had nothing new to say that I already didn't say during the Donbrothers overall review. So I'm just going to put that here. I have promised you I'm most likely not going to do this again, just drag and dropping the review. But this is a special case and I'm experimenting just like Donbrothers itself. So it's thematic that I do something like this. Anyway, that's it. Big thank you to KezzaHenshin for editing this for me. I can't thank her enough. I owe her everything for editing the summary portion of this. So with that being said, if you already watched the review portion when Donbrothers ended, then you could click off and enjoy your day. But otherwise, here's my review of Avatar Sentai Donbrothers. What makes a good Super Sentai, or even a good Tokusatsu show? Does it have amazing suits, fantastic action, beat on the ground during the Megazord, good character arcs, addicting music, a cohesive storyline, well-written and complex characters, whether that be the heroes or villains? So when it comes to Avatar Sentai Donbrothers, does it have all or any of these qualities? Well, yes. Donbrothers is a fantastic show that, like its prequel season, flips the concept of what a Sentai show is. Each concept that makes a good Sentai is thoroughly used throughout the season, even if it doesn't appear at all at first. This different take on Sentai initially caused a fanbase to be reserved, as most Sentais do. Especially since a certain writer was returning, the horrific mastermind, the evil genius, the Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz of Tokusatsu. Haisei what? The Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz of Tokusatsu? Anyway, the answer is Toshiki Inouye. He wrote the show. But it ended up being heavily loved by fans and newcomers alike. Let's look deep into it, starting off with the suits. Now, the first time we got to look at these suits, I thought these were stinky.
Look at the top of his head!
These suits have been joked around a lot over the past year. The CGI for Inu and Kichi brother weren't really that good. But the show is self-aware and adds into this humor, which is fantastic. It doesn't take itself too seriously and plays nicely into many jokes in the season. It's fun. The suits that weren't CGI looked excellent. The 4 remaining Dawn Brother suits are so clean. In general, how these look more like what the hero is supposed to look like in the Legend of Don Momotaro. Or Momotaro. Yeah, you can cut out the Don part. It's a really interesting way to make these suits. Don Momotaro and Don Dragoku's suits also semi-glow in the dark, which I absolutely love, especially in the finishers. The Noto suits also look pretty good. They're complex and sleek, and so does Don Murasame's, with his whole concept being Don Momotaro but shark. And it translates really good. Like, I love Don Murasame. He might be one of my favorites in the entirety of Sentai, honestly. Plus it has that mix of Don Momo's sword, an electric guitar, a shark, and it costs 10 times as much. Giant W, Premium Bandai. Yeah, the suits are amazing, even still when they're used in action, which is already incredible. The camera work gets into this fantastic choreography, and as I said before, the finishers are insane. Everything melts together to look cool. And just like Zenkaiger, the mech action features more human movement, which leads to more complex and fast mech fights. It is also really huge. I will say the CGI for the mechs aren't that good either. I mean, they are better than the CGI for the Ranger suits, but as a whole, I would much rather prefer in suit even if it does limit movement, but still, I don't mind it. I still said it looks cool. Moving along, the characters in Dawn Brothers are enjoyable. It's interesting how every member follows a theme of being a Dawn Brother requires you to lose something. They all contrast with each other, and their dynamic is incredible. Taro starts the show being a self-centered a-hole, but as time goes on, he shows that he cares about his team and proves to be an excellent leader, goading his teammates to become better people. Saruhara might look like a nothing character whose main purpose is to be broke and quirky. He fights because, however, he starts to shine as the season progresses, especially after finding a reason to fight after meeting a former team member, and becomes an interesting and fun character overall, though he might still be my least favorite. Haruka, to me, is one of the best yellows, if not one of the best Sentai members ever. She has an interesting origin, good jokes, and an amazing personality. She represents someone who doesn't take the easy way out, and even if the world is against her, she'll keep fighting to do what she loves. Kichino and Inuzuka, without spoiling too much, represents loss in a more tragic sense than the other members. Their loss is intertwined, and as the season goes on, it shows how their mental health depends on their significant other, which causes a huge back and forth when their main problem is revealed. It's engaging and leaves you wanting more of each of their focus episodes. Jiro starts as this mysterious goofball, whose moment of loss seems missing at first, but it's shown that he has a wild side. The story of both and where each is coming from is great and turns tragic towards the end, making this one of the most intense Six Ranger stories ever. I just wish we got more of him, and I also wish he wasn't relegated to a punchline most of the time. I mean, personally, the joke is kind of funny, like haha, he's just kind of there and he has a story sometimes, but otherwise he's just there for the finisher and stuff, hardy har har. But as I usually say, you know, it's cool, I just kind of wish we got more. Quote unquote. Each of the heroes has a fantastic story, but becomes even more so when their stories intertwine with their enemies. Sonoi, Sononi, and Sonoza have an interesting dynamic within the cast. They're all looking for a particular part of human nature, and conveniently finds us with the people they've been instructed to destroy. This leads them to question their ideals, as they believe they're destined to fight, but as time passes, they start disobeying their directive. It's a great development leading to some of the best Sentai scenes. Only the moon knows. Oh man, this is giving me such Jetman vibes. I wonder why. All of these characters have amazing stories to them, and there were even more that I could mention. Don Murasame, the Bestials, and Master Kaito are all interesting, but unfortunately, they feel incomplete. And that might be the point, which brings us to arguably the most controversial aspect of Don Brothers, its story writing. Toshiki Inui, although heavily doubted at the beginning of the show's production, especially since the last time he worked on a Toka story was this, but he ends up throwing us all for a loop and writes a story that has an effect on me that I've never had before. A big complaint that people have about this show is that it has significant flaws in its writing, specifically when it comes to exposition. Master Kaito isn't explained, the Dawn Clan isn't explained, why they use purified Sentai gears isn't explained, and Murasame gets no explanation whatsoever other than he's a sword. And all of these are truly valid arguments. We all watch tokusatsu for one reason or another, and story, or at least exposition, explanation, anything like that, it should be said somewhere. It should be. And like I said, these are all very, very valid arguments, but I don't care. The show does a good job at making you not care about the flaws in its exposition. One of my editors, Garmore, explains it perfectly.
Dawn Brothers is one of those shows that blatantly shows that you don't need every little thing to be explained to you for it to be brilliant.
Sometimes, when something isn't explained, it makes that concept funnier, which becomes part of the backbone of the show's humor. And if I may add just one little thing here, Toshiki Inui has been writing a lot of Super Sentai, a lot of tokusatsu, Kamen Rider, Jetman, Kiva, Fies, and I feel that he gets a lot of this 90s Sentai writing to the T, like he's a master at writing like this. And when it comes to Showa era tokusatsu, not just Kamen Rider, but I also mean Super Sentai, a lot of things, quote unquote, just happen. Even some of the most well-regarded Super Sentai, or Showa era at least, or pre-Zyuranger at least, somewhere around the Zyuranger time. Die Ranger, Kaku Ranger, Jetman, Turbo Ranger, Live Man, Ginga Man. A lot of these shows, they really don't explain much. Things do happen because they're mostly episodic, as in they don't always follow an overall story arc. So when things quote-unquote happen, or is quote-unquote episodic, there is good reason to criticize it, but on the other hand, there's also good reason to just have fun, to just go with it. Dawn Killer? That's funny. I thought it was a really funny couple of episodes, and he was cool. I loved it. Don Murasame? Yeah, he doesn't explain, and he has this mother thing going on, but I don't care. He looks cool. He has cool fights. He has a cool sword. I want to buy that toy, and that's kind of the point. I want to buy these toys. I want to see this action. I want to see these characters interact more than just, why is Dawn Killer here? Why is Master Kaito here? I don't know, but he's here. Let's just have fun. Dawn Brothers is definitely not going to be everyone's thing. However, it's far from bad. Combined with Zenkaiger, this might have been one of the most unique eras of Super Sentai. I'm also going to include Care Major in there because I love Care Major. Where the show is far from afraid of making fun of itself, while also housing a good story and characters that you'll care about throughout the season. And hey, even if you don't, the show is fun. It's so much fun to watch. It may be a mess to some, but like other anniversary seasons that have come before, it's a really fun mess. Thank you, Dawn Brothers. May the festival always continue. And to my viewers, I see we formed a bond, so I'll see you next time.